I remember when I was living at my parents' house, the master bedroom was given to me. And when I had the master bedroom, my dad recarpeted the room. He gave it brand new carpet. And he made some rules because I got some brand new carpet that there's no food in the room. So I refused to listen to my dad's rule. You see, I ate in my room almost constantly. And one day my dad walked in and saw me eating in my room. And looked in his eyes, wasn't anger, wasn't mad, he wasn't gonna throw me out of the house, but he knew that I had disobeyed the rules and he was disappointed in me. And there's a few reasons why he's disappointed in me. He gave me this room, he gave me new carpet, and he asked for one thing, for me not to eat in my room, and I just deliberately disobeyed his order. And the thing is, my dad could have kicked me out of the house then. He threatened to kick me out of the room, but he didn't. And I think oftentimes as a Christian, our bodies belong to God. In 1 Corinthians 6:15 to the end, Paul talks about our bodies. And he says that our bodies are not to be just given away and thrown away to prostitutes. That it is supposed to be honored. And he gave us such realization by the end of the chapter that our bodies don't even belong to us as Christians. Our bodies belong to God because God bought our bodies with a price. And I know this idea of buying somebody sounds kind of like slavery. Well, it kind of is, but it's not the slavery that you think of. This isn't like laborsome slavery like you find in Exodus with the Jews, or you find in America with the African Americans. It's not that type of slavery. It is a devotion that we have to God. And this devotion doesn't come unrewarded. Because if you read 1 Peter 2:9 through 12, Peter gives us this realization of what we are as children of God. He goes, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellence of him who called you out of darkness and into marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles to abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your soul. Keep your conduct among the Gentiles honorable, so that when they speak up against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day of visitation." Peter understands that we don't own our bodies, that God owns them. And because God owns our bodies, we're able to be something. It's being a part of something bigger than the human race itself. It's part of God's kingdom. And because you are believers, we are now part of God's kingdom. Peter mentions to abstain from flesh. Paul mentions in 1 Corinthians to not to go with the prostitutes. And guys, if we look at our bodies as the temple of God, as the thing that gets married to God, as said in Ephesians, the view of marriage is the understand that now that you're married to this woman, you are to be one flesh. Just as Christ has married the church. Guys, we are married to Christ. And the thing that's awesome about that is that we are one flesh with the Spirit, I said in 1 Corinthians. We are one flesh. That means we're married to Christ. And should we give ourselves up to the flesh, which isn't our flesh, to give ourselves up to the ways of the world? Is that what we're supposed to do? But that's like going with a prostitute. To go like with our desires instead of God's desires for us. Is like going with a prostitute. So here's my penny, right? My penny is that Our bodies are temples of God. And if we deface the temple of God, we are evildoers. So in other words, if we continue in our sin, we are evildoers and we're defacing the temple of God. So we should strive to be as holy as we possibly can through Christ, so that we don't disgrace the temple of God. That we understand what is good in God's eyes and what are abominations in God's eyes. Okay, this is what we need to know and understand so that we can properly represent God, that we can show people who are in darkness that where the marvelous light is. Because we were once in darkness and Christ came down and died for us. That's just my penny.